This is no medical advice for educational purposes only. Consult your doctor. Breathe at your own risk.
Chronic insomnia is a state of active physiological destruction. It is the physical dismantling of your central nervous system. When we lose sleep in the short term, the impact is highly localized. Deprivation over a few nights primarily impairs the right thalamus, which regulates body temperature and attention. This explains why acute tiredness often manifests as feeling cold and being unable to focus. But chronic sleep disorders shift that damage to the brain's centers for emotion, memory, and decision-making. Prolonged insomnia physically alters the anterior cingulate cortex, the amygdala, and the hippocampus, degrading the very architecture required to process daily life. This damage spreads into the cardiovascular system. After just 3 days of restricted sleep, the bloodstream fills with inflammatory proteins. These concentrations are high enough to begin laying the groundwork for heart failure, coronary artery disease, and stroke. Chronic insomnia acts as a systemic toxin. It initiates a two-front war that simultaneously erodes our neurological structures and our heart health. The vulnerabilities to this damage are generationally specific, targeting different cognitive domains depending on your age. In adolescents and young adults, chronic sleep loss actively stalls neurological development. This results in heightened emotional volatility and a massive decline in working memory, impacting school and work performance during critical developmental years. For those over 60, the stakes are existential. Data from the Mayo Clinic reveals that chronic insomnia drives a 40% higher risk of developing dementia. The effect on the brain is equivalent to 3.5 years of accelerated aging. This decline is linked to the failure of the glymphatic system. This is the brain's waste clearance mechanism, a process that requires deep sleep to rid the brain of metabolic toxins. When this system fails, toxic amyloid plaques, a primary hallmark of Alzheimer's disease, build up because the pathways for toxin removal have eroded. This buildup is compounded by white matter hyperintensities. These are markers of cerebrovascular disease, indicating that the small blood vessels in the brain are being physically damaged. Without restorative sleep, the brain effectively traps these biomarkers inside the skull, accelerating the path toward cognitive decline. Pharmaceutical sleep aids often only mask these symptoms through sedation. Reversing the damage requires a method that addresses the root autonomic dysfunction. The key is the vagus nerve. It is the primary conduit for the parasympathetic nervous system, the network responsible for shifting the body out of a fight-or-flight state. Physiological studies show that extending the exhalation phase of your breath directly stimulates the vagus nerve. This triggers a parasympathetic shift, lowering your heart rate, reducing blood pressure, and suppressing the release of stress hormones like cortisol. Controlled breathing provides a direct physical signal that forces the nervous system to deactivate its stress response and prepare for sleep onset. To stimulate this response effectively, researchers point to the 4-6 breathing protocol. The first step is to inhale quietly through the nose for precisely 4 seconds. Then you exhale slowly through pursed lips for 6 seconds. The crucial factor is that the exhale must be longer than the inhale to maintain the parasympathetic signal. This deliberate extension of the breath signals the brain's survival centers that the environment is secure, allowing the body to transition into restorative sleep. However, a single session will not reverse years of insomnia or clear out accumulated amyloid plaques. Clinical evidence suggests that consistency is essential. Interventions typically require a 28 to 30-day commitment before participants see objective improvements in their sleep quality and heart rate variability. The protocol involves practicing this 4-6 method for 10 to 20 minutes right before bed, aiming for a slow rhythm of 4 to 6 total breaths per minute. Establishing this as a nightly routine is how you retrain the brain's circadian expectations and restore the natural transition to sleep. When deep sleep is restored, the body's healing mechanisms resume. The glymphatic system turns back on to clear out metabolic waste, and systemic inflammation in the cardiovascular system begins to subside. This process removes the toxins linked to dementia in older adults and protects the cognitive functions of younger minds. By adopting this zero-cost respiratory habit, you provide your mind and heart with a sustainable defense against the long-term pathology of sleep loss.